And you have to be consistent. If you act one way to this group of people, and then you go somewhere else and you act a totally different way, it's what the world calls a hypocrite. So when you walk the walk of Christianity and you walk the walk of the kingdom, everywhere you go, there you are. You have to set that example of who I am here is who I am here. And when I got involved with the church and started getting as busy as I am or as influential as I am, I was scared. What if I'm one way in church and then these people come see me in my office and I act a totally different way? What if someone sees me on the street and I'm one way, but I'm over here, I'm a different way? And when we moved, I was scared to start my own practice because I didn't want to be that guy. And when my wife and I, when we decided to move, we were praying like, God, where do you want us to go? He stopped us in Tyler. Why? I'm from Louisiana. Go back to my family. I could be great over there. No, I need you here. I want you in this practice. So we gave our practice to God, and he said, when you do it, you do what I tell you to do when I tell you to do it. So for the first 6 months of practice, our numbers were doing this. And every time they would dip, everybody does the same thing. You get discouraged. God, what is going on? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? But then somebody would come in the door that would need me to talk to them. Every time. And it'd be one patient, and they would stay for 4 hours, and we would talk. Some of them lost a loved one. Some of them been through trauma, and we would just talk the whole time. And then I finally got to the point, I was like, okay, God, this is who you want me to be, and this is who I'm supposed to be. Okay, I got this. And he reminded me of the story of King David. So I'm not a preacher, but I'm just going to talk. So if everybody's familiar with the story of David, David was a shepherd boy, tending the sheep. Saul was the king. He was not the greatest king. Samuel come in and was like, hey, look, God told Samuel, you need to go anoint King David. He's going to take Saul's spot. So when Samuel goes and anoints David, he comes from the field, and then we know the story of Goliath. Well, most people think the story of King David is David versus Goliath. David's the underdog. David is not the underdog in that story. So I'm going to read to you why. So in 1 Samuel 17, I'm going to start in verse 34. So previously, before that, Goliath's been out talking about to the guys and all defiling the God and all cussing at them and doing this. And Goliath's a big man for you to understand. Some people say he was 8 foot, 9 foot, 10 foot tall. So he's a big guy. And David was not. But David, when he found out what was going on, he asked, so what happens to the person that kills him? Well, you get the king's daughter. You get all these blessings. You get everything. He goes, and none of y'all are doing this? Why not? So they were scared. So David went up to Saul and said, well, I'll do it. He goes, you're just a little shepherd boy. You're a nobody. This guy's 7 foot tall, 10 foot tall. So, but David said to Saul, said, your servant has been keeping his father's sheep. When a lion or a bear came and carried off a sheep from the flock, I went after it, struck it, and rescued the sheep from its mouth. When it turned on me, I seized it by its hair, struck it, and killed it. Your servant has killed both the lion and the bear. This uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them, because he has defied the armies of the living God. The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from this hand of this Philistine. And then Saul said to David, go, and the Lord be with you. Then Saul dressed David in his tunic. He put a coat of armor on him, a bronze helmet on his head, and David fastened his sword over his tunic and tried walking around, but he was not used to them. I cannot go in these, he said to Saul, because I am not used to them. So he took them off, and he took his staff in his hand, chose 5 smooth stones, which he only needed 1, from the stream, put them in his pouch of his shepherd bag, and with his sling in his hand, he approached the Philistine. When David approached Saul, or when David approached Goliath, Goliath was dead the moment he stepped on the battlefield. Why? Because what David has been doing when no one was around, he was practicing greatness by tending to the sheep. He was not scared of Goliath. So greatness is achieved when no one's around. When you practice and when you stay true to who you are and you do the right things in life when no one's around you, the moment that Goliath is approached in front of you, you're not scared. You know who you are. You know who that is. So how can you walk this walk of David? How can you walk how David did? Everybody has a business. Businesses have core values. Businesses have mission statements. But how many individuals have core values and how many individuals have mission statements? You have to determine who you are so no matter what situation you come into, everywhere you go, there you are. So if you establish those core values in your life and you establish who I'm going to be, me, when I was 13, compassion was basically pushed on me because the guy made me mad, and that just made it a core value, and it stuck. Sometimes you develop core values based off of who you want to be like. You follow that person. You have someone in front of you that, hey, I want to have what that person has. Then you're going to develop their core values. When you find their core values, just stick with them. Make that part of your life day in and day out. And if you walk that walk, when you approach your Goliath, you already know how you're going to act. So this place is called the Success Center. What is success? How much money you have? How many houses you sell? How many clients I have? There's a definition of success. That success is defined by living your values no matter the situation. How do you know that you succeed in the situation that you're in? Is if I say I'm going to have compassion and that person comes into my office that I don't like, that they keep coming back, and I'm trying to get rid of them, I'm trying to send them to another doctor, or that client that keeps calling you and it's like, I don't want to show them a house. But I have compassion. And I treat that person the same, no matter what. That makes me successful. So positivity is one of my core values. And back in November, my dad passed away suddenly, and it was hard for me. And the day I got the phone call, when my mom called, and I broke down, and I started praying, and I kept hearing core values, core values, core values. Who are you? And that moment's when I realized no matter the situations in front of me, I have to be who I say I'm going to be. And if I'm consistent, then God will do the rest. The biggest quote that our Pastor Keith would say is you have to give God something to work with, and you have to give men something to respect. When you give God something to work with, look at David. He was consistent. He didn't joke around when he was tending his sheep. He is who he was when nobody was around. So that moment that God needed to step up, he knew exactly who he was getting. If you're one way and then you're different. The first 2 months I was in practice, I had a patient come in, and in my office, I don't wear shoes. I don't now. I did back then, and I wish I never would have, because it just makes you feel comfortable. But the patient came in, and we have scriptures in my office. They're Christian radio playing, and it's just me. And she asked, "Are you a Christian, or you just play the music?" And I looked at her, and I was like, "Wow, nobody's ever asked me that before." She goes, "Well, I've been in several places that play the music, and they talk this, but then they cheat you out of stuff." And I looked her straight in the face and I said, "Ma'am, if you have to ask me if I'm a Christian, it means I'm not doing my job right." And then when I said that, I was like, "Oh no." that kind of come out harsh. But if you live your core values, they should never question who you are. Nobody questioned David. They knew who he was because the way he lived his life everywhere he was at. Well, later on he does some stupid things and he changed some things up. But when you read the scripture, David was a man of honor, integrity, and a man after God's own heart. He was great, a warrior. But when he did something that went against that, God still blessed him, but he started getting weak. He started getting scared. He started changing who he truly was because he changed his core value for that moment. We have to stay true to your core values. Stay true to who God's called you to be, and no matter where you go, the blessings will follow. So, our mission statement at Helping Hands is 1 Peter 4:10. And it says, each of you should use whatever gifts you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. And it may sound cliche. I just work at Helping Hands. I truly gave that business to God when I first bought it. I truly devoted myself to follow Him and to do His work. And if someone comes in my office, I don't shy from being a witness. I don't shy from doing what He's called me to do. Because the moment I do, then I'm doing it on my way. And if I do it on my way, He's going to expect me to sustain it. And I don't want to do that. And people are like, oh yeah, you just say that. No, I try to live that. Because the moment I don't, I become a hypocrite. So back to what I said, I didn't want to be involved in the church and then be over here. Well, then I was scared when Miss Brittany and Miss Becca started working for me because they also go to church with me. So then it's all like, geez, now I'm like, I have to act this way and I have to act that way. And then it hit me. No, because everywhere you go, there you are. I need you to be consistent. When you're consistent in your walk in life, you're giving God something to work with. So if you're going through situations and you're going through real estate business and deals and you're like, well, why does this client act this way and this one acts this way and this one acts this way and, well, this one's great, well, then this one's not, you're the common denominator. Maybe you need to look at how consistently you're living your life and how you're treating them. Are you treating them differently? Are you treating them, hey, this one's buying $1 million house, well, this one's not. Do you treat them different? Well, they're going to talk. Do you treat that $1 million client than the one that you do that comes in that has a car wreck, in my case, that doesn't pay anything and I have to rely on insurance? I don't. I treat them all the same. Because when you are consistent, you're giving God something to work with and you're giving men something to respect. And without that, what do we have? So, our 5 core values in practice is positivity, generosity, excellence, integrity, and of course, compassion. And I've told my girls that work with me that anytime I am not one of those 5, you have the 100% permission to correct me in anything that I do. Because if I'm not walking that, I can't expect them to. And if they're not, I can't expect our business to. And if our business is not, I can't expect clients to want to come back. So how do you get continuous referrals? You treat everybody the same. They're going to be who you are, and they're going to think that highly of you to, man, this guy treated me great. Did you buy a house? No, I did not. But he still treated me with respect. Great. So you have to develop those core values so that way you can be the same no matter what. Now I'm trying to work on the core values with my kids. That's a different story. So you have to be, I have to be consistent. And everybody who has kids, you know, kids mimic everything you do. So when I wonder why my kids are not acting the way that I want them to act, that's my fault. Because they're picking up what I'm being. And if I'm not being the example, I can't expect them to. So when I had kids, is really when I started saying, all right, who's your core values? Who is Brian Sullivan? What are you going to be? Are your kids going to mimic this? Are they going to mimic this? So guys, I walk core values out every day. And again, I say it because if you don't have them, you're just blowing in the wind. You're changing from one day to the next. And you can't be consistent. And being consistent in the kingdom of God will give God something to work with. It will give him ways to bless you. And without that, what do you have? So I'm not a long-winded person. I am actually done saying what I have to say. So thank y'all for coming. What is this for? Thank you. Thank you.